Hello and welcome to Play RP. I'm Oliver. I'm joined by Niall, Lewis, and Alex.
Hello.
Hello.
So today we are reviewing Clair Obscur Expedition 33. A little bit about the game first of all. It was developed by Sandfall Interactive and published by Kepler Interactive. It was released on the 24th of April 2025 for PlayStation, Windows, and Xbox, and it is classed as an RPG. And it is also on Game Pass currently, if anyone wants to play it.
Yes.
Hit me with some opening statements, please, fellas. Now, do you want to go first?
I'll go first. I gave this game a 7.5 out of 10. The reason being, what I'll say is that review score is very much a me problem. It is not the game problem. The game is very, very, very good. There were a couple things which hampered my experience. The first one is that basically, if you don't do like what would be classed as like the bare minimum in terms of combat and exploration, then the game very much just like goes on without you and like sort of leaves you behind. And so I suffered from the game just being not even too difficult, it just combat taking too long and being too much of a slog. And so it took me farming in order to get back up to speed. But the other thing is more of a subjective thing to do with the story, which we'll get onto probably in the spoilers section at some point. For me, a lot of people really like how the story goes. For me, the story's hook at the beginning was incredible. Like it hooked me in completely. I can't remember a game which has hooked me in with a story quite like the way it did, and just the overall premise. And as the game went on, it felt like that sort of initial premise was being undermined slash weakened by what else was going on in the story. And then it became a story which I wasn't initially invested in, and I kind of just was left with a bit of disappointment with how it ended up. Whilst I know that's very different for other people. But yeah, combat's great. And story, probably from a more objective standpoint, is really well done. So yeah.
Sick. I'm gonna go next. Make a change. So I gave Clair Obscur a 9 out of 10. It is my current game of the year. I understand that I gave Split Fiction a 10 out of 10. I know that does go against that slightly, but it just is my game of the year. So I think it looks great. It's a great looking game. It runs really well. I really enjoyed the story. I initially, when I first saw this game, thought the story was going to be the weak point. I really enjoyed it. I really liked all the characters, but the big selling point of the game is the combat. For me, it is absolutely just fucking out of this world. I tend to not like turn-based games at all, unless it's like Pokemon or something like that. But it's the best implementation of turn-based combat I've ever seen in any game. It has you involved through every single part of it, and that's what I usually dislike about turn-based combat. It is just selecting things from a list, and it's not, you don't feel involved. You don't feel like you're actually having much of an impact on it. But this game just turns that completely on its head, and I love it. It is great, and I hope that they make more of them. 9 out of 10.
He loves it. Go on, Alex.
Yeah, all right, I'll go next. So, when this game came out, I was about to go on holiday, and I was a bit devastated because you guys started playing it, and you guys were like saying how amazing it was. So, I didn't know what to expect when I first loaded this game up, but as soon as that first cutscene happened, I was completely all in. Of like, like when the number changes to the 33.
Oh, wow.
It was just, I was like, what the fuck just happened? So the story for me was just phenomenal. It was fantastic. The gameplay is brilliant. It's fantastic. Like actually learning your skills and stuff. The only negative I would say is like the element to it. You couldn't tell what stuff was weak to unless you were just throwing stuff at a brick wall essentially. So you just had to guess like what stuff was weak to. That's like the only negative I can think of to do with the combat system. I loved all the characters. They were all fantastic. The music is fantastic. I still listen to some of the soundtracks now to this day. it's just an all round
It's
fantastic game.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
What score did you give it?
I can't think of any other words to describe it apart from fantastic, phenomenal.
Alex is getting a
Brilliant.
thesaurus for Christmas.
Yeah, please.
What score did you give it?
I give it a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
Lovely.
Right, Blue Dog.
I'm like struggling right now, like really hard to see. Oh, there we go. Finally, I hate How Long to Beat. By the way, I know this has nothing to do with the thing, but it's actually just an awful website.
The
I gave it.
process is the worst thing in the world.
I gave it.
Sponsorship.
I gave it a 9 out of 10. Which I stand by being correct. I don't remember exactly why I didn't give it a 10 out of 10. I just guess because I want to drop less 10 out of 10s nowadays. But anyway, regardless, the game is absolutely incredible. It's phenomenal. From the
Is
gameplay,
it fantastic?
From the I don't know if I got that far. That's pushing it. I love the music. I love the art direction for the game. I love the story for the game. The characters are some of the most human I've experienced in a video game in God knows how long. It's really nice to have like a set of characters, especially in a JRPG. Well, a JRPG inspired game, where the characters talk to each other, and I sort of go, "Oh, that's what I would have said." Like they responded to that in a manner that makes absolute sense, and that is incredibly refreshing. There is little to no issues that I have with the game. Even thinking back on it, I genuinely can't come up with any negatives really as to why I don't. I think it's the only reason I gave it a negative, or didn't give it a 10, is because towards the end, and this is just due to my own personal just experience, I was doing stuff that I just wasn't enjoying anymore. I was grinding the game to a point that just had no meaning for me. There was going to be no fulfillment in what I was doing. And when I suddenly realized, why am I doing this, and decided to just go and beat the game, I started to enjoy it again. Like that negative experience that was like sort of like descending upon me, it just sort of disappeared. It went away. The moment I went, oh yeah, I can just beat it. And then I was happy again. So yeah, the game's just incredible. And I genuinely, if you don't like RPGs, if you don't like JRPGs, if you're just not into the turn-based genre, I still highly recommend you give this game a go, just to experience it for yourself and make your own decisions. Because I think if you choose not to play this game because you've already got some negative opinion in your head of like these types of games or what this game's going to be, I think you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
If people don't like JRPGs and this is the game to play, if you want to play one.
Yeah, it's not JRPG, it's an FRPG.
It's FRPG.
It is. Cool. Right, should we just get straight into spoilers?
Well, it was an 8.625 by the way.
8.625, there we go.
That's high for us. Very high.
Yeah. Because
Very high.
I've got questions for the fellas, but like we're gonna touch on story, it's gonna happen, or spoilers to do with bosses. So I think we should just put a spoiler warning up right now.
Yeah, let's put a spoiler. It's going to be a spoiler-filled review. We are reviewing quite late anyway, so
it's months after. Yeah. Well,
we don't have a jingle, so I'll just do
transfer.
There we go. Transfer yourself away from the pod if you don't want spoilers. Okay, so Lewis talked about characters. Let's start off with the favorite character, story-wise, not ability-wise.
Story-wise?
Yeah, I'm gonna go first.
Oh, it's going to go straight away.
Yeah, Monaco, Monoko.
Minoko.
He's just a lad, isn't he? He's just one of the lads, and he's great.
Yeah.
It's like I felt secondhand embarrassment when we like spent only a little bit of time convincing him to join the party, and then he immediately nearly killed all of us. That was great for no reason. He just wanted to show off.
Yeah. That's like genuinely the funniest scene in the game for me. Monoko is the same for me. No, Monoko is my favorite character. If we're talking like, it's because of the way you phrased it. You said because of the story. Because Monoko's story there isn't too much.
Well, just what I mean is not factoring in.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If we're talking like absolute favorite, like in terms of what happens in the story, about it's Verso. I just think Verso is an incredibly well written character, and I think his story comes together incredibly well at the end. But if we're talking just a character that I loved to be on screen, and every second he was there, I was like, please just stay here for like, don't you dare fucking die. It was Monoko. Just because he was funny. He could be serious when he needed to be, but he was actually just hilarious. And it wasn't... the writing in this game, the humor was just spot on. It wasn't his humor wasn't necessarily all like random thing happening funny, but it kind of was. But it was done in just a good way, where every single time I laughed, it was just really humorous to me.
It was just deadpan, and the timing was always perfect.
Yeah, because Thingy had a similar sort of experience with what was
SKA.
SKA.
Yeah.
He had a similar thing for me where everything he said was really funny just because of the way he said it, the way he delivered every line, whether it was really serious or really sad, it was the same tone and it was the same delivery every time, and that really tickled me.
That delivery for me from SK was, I don't know if you guys will remember this, but the dad from Coraline, when he gets all sad. Yeah, it's exactly the same voice.
I feel bad because I've not seen Coraline, so I can't.
I've not seen Coraline.
See Coraline.
Well, I agree with you
Great.
now.
But yeah, I would understand if anyone playing this game said like any character was their favorite. Like I really think there could be a massive varied list here.
Yes.
My favorite is Mael. I really enjoyed
Yep.
Mael's story. It's like, shut the fuck up.
I like Mario. He's my favorite.
I like Mael. I think, especially at the end, her story came together really, really, really well, and it was all quite tragic, and like that was reflected in the ending that I chose.
The bad ending.
No.
Oh, we'll get onto that.
There is no bad ending.
Spoilers.
We'll get onto that.
Well, I'll stop there then, because I'm just going to continue.
Wait, let me. I need to say mine.
I never said you couldn't.
He didn't
I said I'll stop there.
Right. Okay. I will agree with Lewis though, and I'll say Verso the top shagger. He's just the best. He's just class. He is top shagger.
I will say, if someone other than Ben Starr wasn't voicing him, I think he would be slightly lower in my rankings. I think
Probably,
Ben Starr's one of the best voice actors right now in video games. I think he's absolutely unreal. And I think his performance in this was just like another masterclass. He's been on a streak of like madness.
Did he play Stroll?
Stroll. Yeah. Yes. No. That was Dion from. He played Clive.
He played Clive. Yeah.
He
So,
played Clive.
what do you think? What performance was better, Verso or Clive?
I think Verso was a better performance, and that's not to say Clive was absolutely like 10 out of 10 performance, but he's had time to, like Final Fantasy 16 was his first big role, and he's had time to obviously improve on it since then. And I think this has been his best role so far. I think his delivery and everything has been just incredible.
I watched an interview of him, and he didn't even know that he was going for the main role. Apparently, like he was just told that he was going to get it, like out of nowhere, which is crazy. Like
he's genuinely such good talent that's just sort of sprung up out of nowhere. And I want him to keep getting more roles. I know some people are like obviously sick of certain characters obviously voicing the same things over and over again, but I want him to keep being in and stuff. I think he's that good. And I think his performance enhances whatever he's doing. Yeah. So thank you, Ben Starr, for existing.
Also, honorable mention to the turtle. I like the turtle. The turtle's good.
SK's friend.
Yeah.
Oh right, yeah. I forgot about him. That is great.
He is, man.
Yeah. So as we're talking about the ending, so this will come up in this next bit. Favorite moment in the story, like, because there's a bunch of big moments. For me, it was right at the start. That's when I think the story was at its best. When Alex was talking about the opening cutscene, when the daughter was holding the mum's hand and the mum yeeted. Yeah. That was like, holy shit, I'm in for it. And then sadly for me, it went kind of downhill from there.
My favorite moment, and I have to start this off. This is really weird. You guys have both said like straight from the beginning, it was like absolutely my moment. The beginning was my least favorite part. Like the Gamage part, I liked, and then the post Gamage, I really was not liking the game for like a solid hour because the acting was annoying. The voice acting and the story, the way the story was being presented, was frustrating me. Because it felt
very stop-start, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Literally, that's a perfect way to describe it. It was very stop-start, and it felt like every time it gave me a bit of information, the characters weren't reacting to the information the way they should be. They felt very nonchalant, and not caring about anything.
Which makes sense, doesn't it? I suppose
Which
because
it
it's been happening
does,
for
yeah, it
67
does.
years.
Yeah, exactly. But so it does make sense. But to me, the way it was being delivered, I just wasn't. It wasn't vibing with me at all, and I was like, I'm worried about the game here because I'm worried if I'm going to enjoy this. After about an hour, it started clicking more, and I sort of started accepting things the way they've been presented, and I started enjoying it a lot more. But the key moment of the game for me, which I like sort of changed everything, was the encounter with the characters' names. Who did Charlie Cox play? Gustav.
Gustav.
When Gustav unfortunately died, and that initial encounter with the guy
Renoir.
Renoir, there we go.
Yeah.
Renoir being introduced, like I know obviously he was in it slightly earlier in cutscene and stuff, but him being introduced in that scene with the cane hitting the floor in the footsteps was like one of the most like tense moments in a video game I felt in a long time. Like I'm talking like goosebumps the moment he entered because I was like, I do not know what's about to happen right now, and I am absolutely terrified. And to build up a character like that, who's like that scary with like little to no dialogue and pretty much no story representation so far, I thought was genuinely really impressive. And from that moment on, I was invested. Like from that singular moment, I was like, this game, I'm ready for whatever it throws at me. Like I'm super excited and super ready. So that was the key point for me.
You know what's mad with that is because I think like everyone that completely like I did not expect Gustav to die at all. It was very sad for me because he was my favorite character.
I did not.
But then
expect
it made so much sense because I remember I was trying to avoid spoilers, but also I was really interested in the behind the scenes of the game. So I was watching interviews with people. I'm like, where the fuck is Charlie Cox? Like, I just wanted to see him and maybe see him do some voice acting. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Cause I've just seen him as Daredevil and the guy who stole Stephen Hawking's wife. Like, that's the only time I've seen him.
I did the exact opposite to you. So in all the interviews, I kept seeing Ben Starr, and I was like, where's
Ben Starr?
I was like, where is Ben Starr? He's in all of these interviews, and I've not seen him. And I'm usually okay. I'm not to be like, oh, I'm sick, but in stories, I usually think I'm relatively okay at judging what's gonna happen. Like you can usually kind of tell. I could not tell in this at all. That was completely surprise for me. Like it caught me off guard massively. And I just thought that was really cool.
I remember turning around to Lauren and saying they killed Robert Pattinson, and she's like, I just don't care, man. She was not invested in this story at all. My favorite moment, thank you for asking, is when you reach the paintress, because it's so everything in the game is building up to that moment, and you finally there and you see how fucking huge she is, and she just sits there and just takes the punishment and doesn't do it anything back, and it's a real turning point in the story for me. It's like she's obviously not this this horrible creature that's just wanting everyone to die. She you obviously find out later that she's not. She's trying to protect everyone. But it was just, it's very like visually pleasing as well. Like I took a screenshot of that because I needed it as a desktop wallpaper. It's one of my rotating desktop wallpapers. It's just very, very good.
Beautiful.
Nice.
I have two, so I'm going to agree with Lewis on the end of Act 1. Yeah. I don't know how the game had the balls to kill the main character. I just remember telling Oliver that I was fighting this boss, and he was like, "All right, okay," but I knew deep inside he was like, "He's almost there. He's almost there," and I was like, and then like the thing happened, and I just messaged him, I was just like, "Surely not," and he's like, "Oh no, yeah, you're there." Yeah. I was like, "There's no way." I could not believe that they actually killed Gustav. Like, and then Verso just comes out of nowhere and he's like, I'm the main character now. It's like, what the fuck? Like, it was just, I could not have predicted that if you gave me like 100 guesses. And then my other top moment is the Renoir boss fight right before the Paintress? When that music played, I literally sat there for like 5 minutes and I was like, holy shit, this song is amazing. What's the song called? I've got it written. Unvi Atema. That song, everyone needs to go and listen to it because it is a phenomenal song.
That was a good pronunciation. I think the guys will be able to find it when they search on YouTube.
I think it's Atem.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's Atem because I think Atem is love. think.
That'll be what it is.
Okay, Frenchie.
No, 'cause I think,
Okay.
it's one of those like slogans you see in like Primark t-shirts for ages. It was like "Je t'aime," which it just means "my love."
Oh yeah, I think you're right. Actually, I think I'm missing.
Yeah. But then, so one of the biggest moments in the game was the ending, where we
Yes.
got given two choices, whether to kill Mael or not kill Mael. That's what the choice boils down to, essentially.
That's like a very basic version of it. Yeah, but it's basically either you get rid of the world completely and Mael leaves, and she gets forced out, or Mael lives. I don't know if it's the rest of her life, but she lives the future of her life in the painting.
Yeah, so let's just go around and choose. What do people choose? So I chose to kill the world. I chose to end.
Good. Correct.
Yes.
I chose
That is the correct choice.
I chose Verso's ending. Yes.
Choose Verso.
Get rid of the painting. Yeah, get rid of it.
And I assume Oliver chose the other.
He did.
Right.
Why would you do such a thing?
What? Why?
It was just the wrong decision.
No, dickheads. Right? Wait, hear me out before you start fucking throwing your turds at me. At the end of the day, right, we've just played this entire game and got to know these characters. Fair enough, they don't actually exist, right? But they think that they do, okay? And what you guys have done is essentially genocide. You have wiped out an entire fucking race of beings for one girl. For one family, for just because Verso was feeling a bit fucking sad, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. You've put the priority of one person over the existence of thousands of others.
Because my major it was for two people really. I know one of them that exists. One is for Verso because he's been stuck there for over 100 years, pretty much give or take. As a person, he isn't actually Verso. He believes he's Verso, he's made out to be Verso, but he isn't Verso. He's living a life that just isn't real, which is incredibly depressing. I love Verso, so I wanted to see him happy. But second of all, Mael, the whole point of the story is Mael needs to grow up. The whole point is Mael needs to understand that what she's doing isn't helpful, and regardless of if it gives her temporary happiness, it's not going to make her happy in the long run, because it's going to make it more and more difficult to let it go when she needs to let it go, and she can't live a life properly if she doesn't let it go. I know Mael's life is shit outside of the painting. She lost the voice.
She can't fucking speak. She's got half a face, Lewis. She prefers the painting.
I know she prefers the painting, but then as Renoir pointed out, it literally almost killed their mum. It wasn't good for it. It was really bad. And I just thought it was better as if the painting didn't exist. I thought Verso had done his time. I just thought it was better to let it go. The whole point is letting go, and that is what Mael needed to do. And that's what you had to do as a player. You had to let go with the characters
I couldn't.
that you loved.
I couldn't.
Exactly. So you're Mael. You're the issue.
As a group of people who play a lot of video games, we should know how important escapism is, right?
Yeah.
And we think we don't know much about the world beyond the painting. We don't know much about it, but we do know they're at fucking war, and there seems to have been at war for a long time. So I personally would want to stay in the painting, regardless of how much it fucked me up in the long run, kind of thing. If I had Mael's life and if it was as miserable as she is, but in the painting I had all these friends and all these people to care about and all these creatures that all lived their own lives, and they had the full, that they were fully aware of themselves, I could not possibly choose to, number one, like leave the painting and be in misery, and number two, murder all these people.
I did it. I chose for a very different reason than you guys. I was very frustrated with the game.
You wanted to kill them all.
No. Yeah, so basically, because like I said at the start, like I was sold and invested on this expedition to kill the paintress. And for me, the big reveal that it was a canvas was the equivalent of, oh, it's just all a dream, bro. That's it. Like, it literally, nothing matters. So I was properly fucked off by that.
No, I agree. I'm pretty sure, I don't remember if I said it in the spoiler chat or not. When that point happened in the story, my rating dropped down. I thought the game was a 10 out of 10, and I dropped it down to a 7 when that happened, because I thought the exact same thing as you. I went, this is such a cop-out way of telling the story, but then it got better. It made more sense after that, and I was like, oh, okay, but yeah, carry on. Sorry, I just want to agree with you because that is a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it did win some points back in like the contextualization of it.
Yeah.
Like I was very worried as well because I was worried about time in terms of completing it. So I was like looking up the act structure, and I was like, people saying that Act 3 is really short. I'm like, I hope it's not that short because I'd like a bit more explanation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was just not in. I would have much preferred it to actually be an expedition to kill the paintress, and you kill the paintress and you save the day. Or you don't kill the paintress, and that's fine. And the next expedition takes over, and all the stuff you've done for the next expedition is like a good thing. But I am interested what happened because, like, with us, even though I've just completed it, I barely remember. Pretty much everyone just gamages, and then it's all the fellas from the Desante family outside, essentially saying one final goodbye to Verso, and that's how it ends. How does it end if you make the other decision, Oliver?
It cuts to so everyone's back alive. Everyone who's gamaged, as far as I'm aware, or at least whoever.
And Gustav.
And Gustav. Yeah, and Gustav. Everyone is back alive. Mael basically brings everyone back, and they then watch. They watch a performance in a theatre back in the starting area, and it is Verso who is performing on the piano. And Verso halfway through the performance looks at Mael, and Mael's eyes are exactly like her mother's in that they've all painted and stuff like that. She's beginning to like fall into the painting and obviously lose herself a bit. One part about that ending that I didn't like, and I will give you that, is the fact that she forced Verso to live when she could have easily gamaged him.
Yeah, Verso is fucking miserable, dude. He did not want to be there anymore.
And I will agree that she
she
should have let him go. She should have let Verso go. Everyone else could have survived quite easily, and Verso be allowed not to live, but she kept him alive. Whether that was a little bit childish, I would give you that, but I still would argue that the lives of everyone else is more valuable.
But that was also the argument with the other ending, though, as well, is that even if, like, let's say they killed that Verso's soul, being the child, as long as Mael continued to exist, continued to stay in the painting, then that child, which is Verso's soul, a remnant of Verso, would have to continue to paint forever. Yeah. So it doesn't matter even if our Verso's gone, the real Verso technically would have still been suffering. Which is again why I didn't want to keep him alive.
Yeah, those things were barely aware of what they were. They would just walk up to him and they'd say something like, "Oh wait, no, I don't know what I was saying."
And I like the Verso ending that it isn't just all happy. Like, sorry, the getting rid of Verso. It's really sad because there's even a point where like you get everyone one by one just so like Ciel comes in. She actually goes up to Verso and approaches him. Monoko just sort of sits there. Lune just like is really sad. She doesn't even bother coming.
She turns
through
her back.
She doesn't even bother coming through the portal. She just like sits down, does like a huff, and just sort of gives Verso a dirty look, and then just sort of dies. And it's all really depressing, but it's better I just think it's better for the characters. I think
it's the whole message of the game, though, is to accept death and accept like this is the reality of the situation. Not to like paint over your eyes and like make this fake world that you should be living in. It should be right. This is what happened. You need to accept reality, and then this has happened.
Yeah, I definitely got the vibe. Like it was. I'm glad that that's the way Mael was portrayed at the end, because I definitely had the vibe when making the decision that I'm bringing these people back to life to be Mael's toys, to be Mael's puppets, and for nothing else, only to like basically serve her like a god kind of thing. What are you laughing at?
I think that's a bit harsh. I don't think.
No, sorry. I agree with what Alex said. It's just one of the things he said in words and are very funny. It's just the fact that he said the message of the game was to not paint over your eyes.
It's a good metaphor, though. It really is.
No, but I just imagine a game you're like, right, fellas, never grab a paintbrush, never paint over your eyes. Just don't do it. Sorry. You're right, Niall. I agree.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like everyone, well, whoever has the information, potentially more people, depending on how much information is spread, they'll know that their lives are only there, whilst Mael wants them to be.
Yes, but not one of those people apart from Verso then said, "Oh right, kill me then. I don't exist."
Well, Verso's been living for so many years in that painting.
Fuck Verso, man. You know what? I'll say it right now. Fuck Verso. The guy's selfish.
Yeah.
Also, another thing as well, like
Wait.
Versa was like 15 levels higher than Mael. I did not want to do the fight the other way around.
Could my eldest not have brought Gustav back then?
What do you mean? She did bring
Well,
Gustav back.
Yeah. Well, no, this was my point during the game as well. Do you know when they bring Lune and CL back? Why didn't you just go, oh, I'll bring Gustav back as well?
Well, she only had the option for 2, didn't she?
No, but I'm not talking about. I'm talking about in the ending. Does she? Oh, does she bring Gustav?
She
back?
does.
She does,
Oh,
yeah.
right. Okay. Sorry. That's what I
I
meant.
thought you meant like in Acts 3.
Yeah.
No, because she didn't have the juice.
Gustav
to do
comes
it.
back, CL gets a husband back, everyone's very much happy. There would have been an awkward conversation depending on who you romanced, but CL does get a husband back. Speaking of which, I did everyone do a romance?
I did not.
Yeah, I think we all
Yeah.
did CL though.
I did.
And it's because I didn't understand that that's how it worked. I didn't know that's what it was leading towards.
Yeah, same.
So I did CL. I would have chose Lune if I had the choice.
Yeah,
but-
I wanted to romance. I knew all along. I knew exactly what I had to do, but somewhere along the way, I picked the wrong thing. So Lune just completely shut herself off from Verso, and then CL just kept trying to jump his bones over. I was like, down, girl, stop.
CL didn't. Oh.
Even when she knew that the potential husband could come back, she was like, "Yeah, one more go for it."
Yeah, let's do it. One more.
Yeah.
I've got one more in me.
We'll bring it back from story and talk about the gameplay a bit more. So, who was everyone's favorite character to have? So, who was everyone's party? Mine was Verso, Lune, and Minoko.
Well, end game
Mine-
party.
Yeah, mine was Verso, Lune, and CL.
Verso, Verso, Mael, and Monica. Minoko.
Verso, Lune, and Mael.
They all had different parties.
A bit of a
That's
mix,
interesting.
yeah.
I'll go with my logic real quick. First of all, Verso, he just stayed in the party the entire time. He never left. The moment I got him, he stayed in him. His moveset, his like Devil May Cry, like S rank, like damage multiplier thing, like was just very good. I really enjoyed that. Mael is just an absolute animal, especially in the late game. She's just absolutely just beyond broken. And Minoko, my logic with Minoko was, why would I use Lune CL when I can use a character that can have any ability in the game that I want? I can build his moveset to be perfectly what I want it to be and cover what I need it to cover. So he just stayed on the team as well. Because he has access to, like, I want to say like 50 or so moves from all
something
those,
like that, yeah.
from all the feet. If you collect all the feet, like
He loves feet.
He does. He really loves feet.
Yeah.
He has access to like 50 moves, and it's so like it just seems silly to not use him because I just felt like a bit because you've got like Lune who can mainly only use fire stuff, and obviously like a couple of other like earth abilities and whatever, and then CL was very much set in a twilight and sun. I think it was, I don't know, whatever it was, you know what it was. And it just seemed like a good combination. It just seemed like good coverage with the characters I had.
I really struggled with CL. I just couldn't understand it at all.
It was so easy.
Cheers. I just didn't get it.
Alex really helped me with that.
Yeah,
like it just one sun, one moon, and you're off to the races. That's what I understood.
Yep.
So my entire party was just an engine to feed my hell. It was I had Lune for she was the party healer. But she was also most of her moves. I had fire because one of my L's ways to get her to virtual stance
burn
was to burn. So I burnt with Lune, and then after that she was a healer. Verso was just there because I like Verso. He was a good lad.
You said you hated him a second ago.
I liked his moves. I did not.
I
did not necessarily. Like
you like using him like a slave.
But it was just it was as fast as it was getting Mael as fast as possible to have maximum ability points and in being virtual stance, and then at that point everything fell before her because she, like Luke said, she is a fucking beast.
Yeah, she's just monstrous.
Yeah, for me it was just once I learned how to parry, which took a while, then it became very easy because I just everyone's 9 mana abilities were just really good. Like because I'm not very good at the game, I rarely got Verso's 13 hit off because you have to not get hit while for one turn for it to go
You
off.
do, yeah.
But Lune's Hell ability, which sets everyone on fire, and when you unlock the 9999 restriction, that was just really good. Okay,
Is that the one that does increase in damage every turn?
No, I think that's the one before that. I think that's
Right,
Hellfire.
okay.
I think.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's just an AOE attack that hits all enemies twice and puts 10 burn on them, and I thought that was really good because it did significant damage like over time while she
Oh
wasn't.
yeah,
actually
Burn was
doing
really
anything.
good in that game. Yeah.
Yeah, and Monaco, just because I could never get his health particularly high. Like if anybody was going to die in a fight, it would be him. But when I could get one of his abilities off in the right mask, then it was just a significant, like loads of damage. So yeah, and Luna was great for healing and also for reviving as well. I use that a lot.
So we should probably talk about the oh, sorry,
Can I talk about my party?
You need to fucking be more assertive, man. Get in
I
there,
didn't even
you know
get
what I mean?
chance. Right, so my party, I was basically doing it around fire damage. So I would have Lune burn everyone, and then CL had an ability which would put the cards on if every enemy was burnt. So then by the time it came around to her next turn, she could just wipe the entire party. And Versa was there for damage dealing as well.
Yeah.
There you go.
Cool.
There you go.
Thanks, Alex.
Didn't ask.
So yeah, we should probably talk about the dodging and parrying because obviously it's such a massive part of the combat. So I know you guys said you just parried mostly, didn't you?
Yep.
I
parry.
dodged maybe like the only time I dodged, and you might know what I'm talking about. There's one specific enemy where they would have orbs on their shoulders and it would shoot a laser at you.
Yeah.
And you could either parry it and they would keep. So if you parried it, they would then do it again. If you parried it, they would then do it again. If you dodged it, it would stop their attack completely. And I would dodge that specific attack sometimes just because it was quicker than parrying over and over again. But that was it. Other than that, I parried.
I would start every fight by dodging until I knew the attacks, and then at that point, I would parry everything.
Yeah, I parried everything apart from the black hole attack that Gollum did. I can't remember his name. Renoir. The black hole attack, it took away all your ability points, and I just couldn't time that right. Yeah, and I was at a level where it was a bit squeaky bum time that fight. So I needed those ability points.
The only time I ever dodged was when I was like about to die and the enemy was also like really low on health.
Yeah.
Like especially like during bosses. So that's when I was like, right, I'm not even gonna risk trying to parry right now. I'm just gonna dodge and then just gonna do my next attack and then kill it.
Yeah.
Something which the combat did well, especially with the dodging and parrying, is it really makes me want to replay the game. Okay, it feels like it's going to be on the higher difficulty as well. Okay, it feels like it's just going to be a much more fun time now that I'm confident to be able to parry. Like, I feel like I'd have a much more enjoyable time of it. I'll try to replay it before we do our Game of the Year show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good because right now it's 3 against 1. I think on that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Until Death Stranding 2 comes out.
That is true. Right, we'll go one more thing. We'll do favorite boss fight, if any stand out. What was mine? I don't have one. Yeah. Anyway, I mean all 3 Renoir ones were, I thought, quite good. Like the one of the more easy ones as well. I found, apart from the final one.
The ability he had where he could heal all his damage was really annoying. You had to shut him down real quick.
Yeah.
I think mine was the Axiom with the masks.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I think it was quite a varied boss fight, and it was like, oh, which mask is gonna come next, kind of thing.
That was a turning point for me with the game when I realized I could parry because I had to. Otherwise, I was not going to do that boss fight. Gunless, hers with it. You just one shot all bosses in the game, so
no. The only time that I didn't do that was in the trials. So you guys would have done this boss fight, but at the end of there's something called the it's called the Endless Tower.
Is that the one we have to parkour up it? I've heard people talk about that.
No, that was just a parkour section, which was also really fun, to be fair. But there's something called the Endless Tower, and it's 33 missions in which you have to fight enemies. And obviously, it gets progressively harder as the missions go along. The very last trial, you fight a painted version of Renoir, and you fight the paintress. as like a duo fight. That was by far the most challenging and most fun fight in the game for me. Learning the parry, like it was one of those fights where when it started, I was like, there is not a chance in hell I'm going to be able to like learn how to parry any of this shit. Like it's way too fast, it's way too random. I did the fight for probably about 40 minutes or so, maybe 50. And by that point, I felt like an absolute god when it came to parry and stuff. And because the attacks they were doing were so insane, it made me feel just like the best gamer to ever exist. Like it was an absolutely just incredible feeling. But it's just a really cool boss fight. But because I did that boss fight, it made the final boss fight not as interesting because the last boss fight is basically half of that boss fight with also just less attacks going on.
I was gonna say that's really weird that you get to fight them before you fight them.
Well, that's the thing. So it's like, because you're not locked out of it. So technically, so they are saying do it whenever you want, but maybe I don't know. Maybe they expect you to beat the game first, then go back and do that. Yeah, like I have no idea.
But you're just that good, apparently.
But it very much did take away from it. But it didn't take away from how good that boss fight itself actually was. I thought, like, you guys obviously, like I said, you don't know it, you haven't seen it, but it's just a really good time. And it made me feel like all the hours of learning the mechanics of the game and learning my builds and learning how to dodge and parry and blah blah. It just felt all worth it in that fight. But my god, did it take a while. The 33 trials took, I think it took like 4 or 5 hours of constant playing. To get that last fight. Yeah, it's really long. Well, it's 33 of them, so it takes a while. But it was really fun. My favorite fight for sure.
Sick.
Cool. Mine's probably the second Renoir boss fight, just because of the build up to it and the music as well was just brilliant, fantastic even.
Fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic.
What was yours, Oliver? Or have you already done it?
I've already done it, mate.
You already did.
Right, well, actually, I got mine was a Renoir one or whatever. I've got a more interesting question though, because our game time varied massively with this game, which means that, for example, Lewis has probably seen about 3 times as much of the game as I have, because I completed this game in 16 hours.
16 hours? Damn.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure yours was around 40. I think. Yeah. So what was because some people I've heard say that some of the side stuff story wise is like sort of on the level where it's kind of insane that it's not part of the main story. What was like the biggest thing that you saw where you're like, oh shit, that's pretty crazy?
Oh, that's difficult because I'd have to think back into my entire playthrough. There definitely was stuff. Well, okay, one of the things, for example, so do you know the you had to fight the, I don't remember what they were called. You said the name of it, and I kept every time you said the name of them, I kept saying, what are they? Yes. So the axioms, there's 3 of them, but you only have to fight 2 of them. Yeah. There's one there that is completely optional, but it's just as impressive technically as the other 2, and it feels just as important to get it done. It was one of those ones, but I don't understand why they didn't just make you fight all 3. It seemed like the number was already there. The boss is there. I don't know why it didn't make you do 3 to get through that entire section and unlock the door. Because that boss fight was also really good. It's a monster or it's an enemy that people aren't going to see, or a lot of people aren't just going to see. And mechanically, like I said, it's just as impressive as the other 2 in terms of like the set pieces stuff as well. So that was a big shocker. In terms of actual story, there's one massive piece of story content actually. I've just realised that you guys won't have done. I got to bring Noko back to life.
Oh shit.
Oh,
yeah. I forgot he died.
Oh yeah, I know. I did that bit. I did all the character side quests.
Yeah, there's an entire. Well, you get to visit the what's it called? I'm not gonna remember the name of it. So basically there's like a forest in which they come back to life. The way that they work is that when they die, they I was gonna say regenerate, but what's the one I'm thinking of? They respawn, I guess. Resurrect. Yeah, they resurrect in the forest. But it's technically not the same version of themselves, but it is. It is and it isn't. And they resurrect in this forest, and there's an entire subquest and side quest of visiting this forest, finding out what they do in this forest, finding out that you're actually going to be able to bring Noko back to life, interacting with other people like Noko who like guard the forest and like see all these people come back, as well as other people actually coming back. And then that all leads into you actually being able to bring Noko back. But there's a ton of cutscenes and dialogue surrounding this thing, and I thought that it was going to be part of the story, because they kind of bring it up. I don't remember if it was in the story, if it was in one of the side character things, but when Noko dies, I'm pretty sure they mentioned that he can come back.
I think it's at the campfire.
Yeah, and I thought it was going to be relevant in the story, but yeah, if you don't do that side stuff, it's never brought up again in the story. But yeah, you can bring him back.
Yeah, you've got to fight the chief, haven't you?
Yeah.
Because
like
there's like a queue in order to resurrect.
Yes, literally, yeah. I thought that all that stuff was absolutely like incredible, just visually to look at as well, because that area looks beautiful, it looks gorgeous. But like I said, it goes on for quite a while. It's quite like a significant like story beat, and I'm very surprised that it isn't relevant to the main story whatsoever. It seems a bit odd that they just made that a side thing, especially if you liked Noko and stuff. Because I was really sad when Noko got absolutely shreked. So I was happy that I got to see like an actual conclusion to his story.
Yeah, it was sad when he came back though, and he didn't know who Noko.
It was, yeah. But I was expecting that. Though. He set me up for that. That I knew that's what was coming. Yeah. But it was still nice that I got to bring him back and got to experience that. And see that it isn't necessarily a bad experience that they resurrect. Like, it seems like quite a nice place to come back and whatever. It's just, yeah. That was a weird thing to not include. That's probably one of the biggest ones that I remember.
So one thing I do bring up just before we end, I know that the team that created the game has come out and said that did this on purpose, but I think the open world could have done, not open world, just world itself could have done with a minimap. I think it really would have helped. I think now,
yeah,
said
for
you got lost a few times.
The amount of times I went back on myself, it was because that's the thing. The game looks great, but you can tell that there's some sort of budget restrictions going on because there's a lot of copying and pasting of assets and textures and that sort of thing. So if you get turned around, everything looks so identical, especially when the walls are up at the side of the level and you can't see any points of interest.
Yeah.
It would have been really nice to have a mini map for sure.
Yeah, it's the opposite of like the white paint problem in video games kind of thing. There needs to be some signposting just so you know which direction you're supposed to go in.
Yeah, I mentioned this to Oliver when because obviously I was doing everything, or mostly everything. Whenever I would enter a new area, there would be times where there'd be like 2 or 3 split paths, and I'd go down one, end up coming back to where I started originally, and then going down the same path again, and not realizing that it's the one I went down.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
And that happened quite a lot. Obviously, I figured it out after that, and I was more just annoyed at myself that I was like, well, I've just wasted like 5 or 10 minutes. But yeah, that did happen quite a bit, so it clearly is an issue with the game's design somewhat.
I believe the team said they did it to encourage exploration, but that's to me is kind of bullshit because that's not encouraging exploration. That's forcing exploration. People should be allowed to play your game however they want to play it, and you shouldn't have to force exploration on them. That's stupid. If I had signposted, if anything, if I had signposted, I would have explored more because I would have known which paths do not lead to story beats.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think one of the biggest like tells of this is that in games like this and JRPGs and stuff, my whole philosophy is usually I want to go the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because you can usually tell which is the right way. It's like, I want to go the wrong way so I can go get these chests and whatever. In this game, I could never tell which way the wrong way was. I would go down the right way sometimes thinking it was the wrong way and then be like, oh, fuck. Yeah. Like, I've locked myself out of this thing now because now story's happening. So, yeah, I did find that really difficult sometimes.
Yeah. But other than that, though, fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does anyone have anything more to say about the game?
I don't.
Cool. Thanks.
Personally.
No. Just know that whatever you do, it's for those who come after.
That's true.
Yeah.
True.
You know, Alex, for about half an hour I've been planning to say until next time for those who come after, and you've just fucked me. That was going to be a great ending to the video, but until next time, we'll fucking see you later. Goodbye.
Bye.
You can just...